This red, white, and blue patriotic cheesecake would be perfect for 4th of July celebrations. This video forms part of a very special video collaboration along with Beth, who is Cooking and Crafting, and Julie, who is Cooked by Julie. So please stick around to the end of the video and you will see what they have come up with.
Let's see what's cooking. It's time for Yo-Yo Max 12.
So to start off, you're going to make the crust of this cheesecake, and the crust is made with nilla wafers, which are little vanilla cookies. You'll need 30 of them for this recipe. If you can't find nilla wafers where you live, you can use any kind of plain cookie. So I processed those until they became fine crumbs, and I put them in a bowl. Into that I added 3 tablespoons of blue sugar. If you can't find blue sugar, you can just use plain white granulated sugar and just add more blue food coloring to the mixture. I also added 3 tablespoons of melted butter and a few drops of liquid food coloring. And I started to stir it around, and it wasn't blending very well. The blue color wasn't really transferring as well as I liked it, so I put it back into the food processor, gave it a whirl, and as you can see, the color blue really came through. And I also found there wasn't quite enough butter, so I added an additional tablespoon of melted butter for a total of 4 tablespoons of melted butter. The recipe, of course, will be in the description box below the video. Now you're going to press those crumbs into the bottom of a springform pan. The recipe calls for an 8-inch springform pan. All I had was a 9-inch, and I find that corrugated bottom plate makes it difficult to get the cheesecakes to release after they're cooled, so I usually cover mine with a little bit of plastic wrap, and I find it releases a lot easier. So press those crumbs down to the bottom of the pan and set that aside. In a large mixing bowl, you're going to place 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla extract, and 8 ounces of cream cheese softened. Of course, I use Happy Cream Cheese. Blend those things together until you have something that's very creamy and very smooth. In another bowl, you're going to place 1 cup of heavy whipping cream and beat this until you get stiff peaks. If you don't want to use whipping cream, you can use 2 cups of Cool Whip dessert topping instead. So once the whipped cream is whipped, add in the cream cheese sugar mixture and blend it gently but thoroughly until you get something that's well combined. Once it's well combined, take this mixture and spread it on top of the balut crust. Just make sure that it's spread evenly. Do it gently because you don't want any of those blue crumbs to get mixed up with the white layer. And set that aside, and we're going to prepare the next portion, which is going to be the red portion, which is a homemade raspberry gelatin. Take a small bowl. Inside the bowl, place 1/3 of a cup of water, and then sprinkle over top of that 1 tablespoon of plain unflavored gelatin powder. And a tablespoon is the equivalent to approximately 1 envelope and about 1/2 of another if you're using those Knox gelatin envelopes. Let that sit to the side while you're preparing the next part of this recipe. Take 2½ cups of frozen raspberries and 1/2 cup of sugar. Place them in a saucepan over medium-high heat and start to stir. As it heats up, the raspberries will start to give up their juice. It'll start to become very liquid. The raspberries will break down. Continue to stir until it starts to boil. By then, most of the raspberries will have broken up into little pieces. Then spoon the mixture into a sieve, and then just rub the sieve with a wooden spoon, and the juice will come out the bottom, and all you have left are the seeds inside that sieve. Continue to do that until you have just the raspberry puree in the bottom of the container. Then add that gelatin that's been sitting there, and as you can see, it bloomed and absorbed a lot of the water. Stir that together until the gelatin is dissolved. Now you can't pour this on your cheesecake the way it is, it's too hot. So to cool that down quickly, put it in a bowl of ice water and stir it until that red mixture becomes a lot cooler, room temperature or colder. And then pour it on top of the cheesecake layer and put it in the refrigerator and let it sit there covered for about 3 or 4 hours. I let mine sit there overnight. I released the edges of the gelatin with a sharp knife, and then I released the springform pan and then removed the sides. And as you can see, it didn't stick very much at all. and it'll look quite nice from the side. Now you're ready to slice it. Make sure you use a sharp knife and that you wipe the knife off in between cuts just to keep that red layer nice and clean looking. Now I found this cheesecake to be very thin, probably a little bit too thin than I would like. Now that's probably because I used a 9-inch pan instead of an 8-inch pan. That would make a big difference. And also this originally was designed to be made into individual little tiny cheesecakes. So when I make this again, I would most certainly double the recipe for a 9-inch pan. That would make it a very nice, thick cheesecake that would be perfect. I recommend garnishing this cheesecake with a little bit of extra whipped cream and some fresh raspberries or even some fresh blueberries. The blue layer is nice and sweet and crumbly. The cream cheese layer is light and fluffy and delicious. And that raspberry gelatin on the top is amazing. It's a great flavor combination. Hey, thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. As promised, on your screen are links to 2 other great 4th of July dessert recipes, one by Cooking and Crafting and the other by Cookedbyjulie. And there's also a link to my 4th of July playlist. Thanks so much for watching, and I really do hope you check out these great channels and subscribe while you're there. Happy 4th of July to all my American friends. Bye-bye.